So now let's get into the nitty gritty. Let the people know what your love languages are.
And this is in relationships. And then we'll do friendships.
Okay, we'll do relationships first.
Okay. Let me go first because I just.
Okay. So in relationships, my number one is definitely acts of service. Although I feel like since this pandemic, it's kind of been taking a shift a little bit. My second one used to be words of affirmation, but I think quality time is starting to take over like that number 2 spot. So acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, gift giving, and then physical touch. I don't know what it is about physical touch. It just makes me cringe.
I do know that about you.
Yeah, that. But that's why I was like.
It was quality time I was trying to think.
Okay. That's why I was like.
Okay, so it's acts of service, quality time, gifts, and words of affirmation. I feel like they're like right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I can like separate those. Maybe words of affirmation before if I had to, and then gifts, and then physical touch.
Yeah. Anywho, mine is quality time. Acts of service and gift giving, I feel like are neck and neck because like in a sense they're kind of could be the same, like depending on how you look at it. But actually, rewind, we talk about relationships. It is quality time, physical touch, probably acts of service, gift giving, and then words of affirmation. But like I said, that number 3 spot is real close. But what does that look like for y'all? So for me, like, physical touch is like I want to cuddle. Like, I want rub my arms so I can fall asleep. Like, no, seriously, put your hand on my back so I can touch you like that. I literally, and he gonna listen to this and he was like, she telling the truth. Like, I would just be like, can you just put your hand on my back so I can fall asleep, please? Like, can you just do that for me? Like, that's what I need in my life.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, but it doesn't have to be physical touch. Like any episode, like what are things that you like under those categories?
For me, like acts of service, like I like for you to like cook for me, like clean, like because I like to do those things. Like I like to do acts of service to make my significant other like feel good. Cook, clean, just do stuff. Just do acts of service. Like I don't like I can't really put it into like a category, but like as far as like quality time, since it's like my secondary one, I don't care if we just not doing nothing, we just not talking. If as long as we in the same room next to each other and just like laying there, we can be on our phones, we can be watching separate shows. Like I don't care. Not for real. Cause it's just your presence makes me feel like
you just want somebody there.
Yeah,
I get that. Just come over and let's just do our own thing.
You can lay on the floor. I can be on the couch. Like
we can be in the same house. I just know where you are. I know you're here.
Right.
Like I don't have to be concerned.
Okay.
Acts of service. I feel like, and this can get into gender expectations, but I do all this stuff anyway on my own, so technically it doesn't. Like putting gas in my car, changing my tires, like all that kind of stuff. Bringing in the groceries when I get home.
It's the little things.
Yeah,
it's the little things.
All that stuff that I don't be feeling like doing after I done did something else. Taking out the trash. And this is all like without asking.
Yeah.
So like
emphasis on without
because people be like, oh, that's your love language, but you didn't ask me to do that.
I'm not supposed to.
No, like
It's
if that's my love
language,
language, nah.
Like coming home, the clothes are folded, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you just be like, you is loving me.
Like the hairs on the back of your neck.
It's loving me, right? Okay. So why is physical touch ranked so low for y'all?
It just meant like I like my own space. And like just the fact of like cuddling, especially like if I'm like at night and I'm spending the night with you, I don't need to cuddle before we go to sleep. Like I need my space. You need your side of the bed. I need my side of the bed.
So like, not even falling asleep, because some people cuddle like to fall asleep, and then by the time you wake up, y'all on different sides. No, it's like don't even touch me. Time to sleep.
See, I don't know that I'm that far removed. Like, I don't mind cuddling, but I just don't feel like I need you all up on me all the time. Like, if we just sitting on the couch, like, I may like lay my head on you, but I don't
like
need
put
to
my
be
little
like,
foot on you. Yeah, nah.
And I put my little foot on you.
yeah, I'm quick to prop my feet up, but
like
yeah.
I'm not with like the cuddling like
I don't have to be
arms around me,
holding
like, no.
hands. Like, I don't.
See, I don't have a problem with holding hands.
Yeah, that's
Like, like during what? Because
while
no,
we're just out.
okay,
Yeah,
like
while we're
out in the
out.
mall or something. I'm more of an arm hook kind of girl. Like,
I will
hold your
say that
arm.
though.
The act of holding hands is a little weird sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
no, for real. Like, you be trying to do other stuff and you don't want to be like,
Yeah.
let go of me.
Then your hands start getting sweaty, and that's just like,
You know.
But no, I know I'm an attached person. Like, I need to be touching something.
It's
But
just,
I think it's also like what I grew up around, maybe, because my parents aren't like super feely, touchy. Like,
yeah.
I don't see that often, and even with them, like, we don't walk in the house to give each other hugs. Like, we don't. Like, it's none of that.
So that's crazy because that's something that I noticed the other day when I was leaving your house. I was like, we don't hug when I leave or when I get there, and that's weird. Like, cause when I walk in my parents' house, we do like we hug each other and kiss each other on the cheeks or whatever. Like, there's always some type of greeting, but like that's definitely something that like I try to work on.
Me and my brothers, like, we walk in the house, we give each other a look, and that's it. Like,
Me and my sister do the same thing.
like, it's
we do the
literally
same
just
thing.
like a.
I think it depends on who it is though, cause like me and Key we don't hug and stuff like. That's our in our relationship. Our love language is like quality time more so, or like doing stuff, activities. So yeah, it definitely depends on your relationship with the person.
And it depends on like Janelle said, how you grew up. Like, I grew up the same way. My parents I didn't see my parents like interact like that. So I was just like, oh well, I guess that's like not a normal thing. So as I grew up getting into like relationships and friendships, I was like, giving somebody a hug wasn't like the first thing.
Yeah.
My father still complains when I try to sit next to him on the couch, so.
No, you can't go over there.
He be like, this is a 2-person couch, but I take up both seats. What? Like, what does that mean? So yeah, I think it's just what we see in our childhood, I guess.
So what's one thing within your love languages that like takes the cake? Like, is something someone can do? Like, for me, no matter how many times it happens, I always feel so loved when I get flowers. Like, that's like, it don't matter what time of day it is, random flowers or like surprises, little like that.
When you clean. When you clean, okay? When you fold the clothes, you do the laundry, you clean the dishes. Like, if I'm coming home from work and you home before me and I see like the kitchen is spot clean and like the clothes are folded on the bed. Like,
Are we assuming that he didn't have work?
That's what I said. If you
But what's funny about that is that men are like, we can go to work and come home and do all of that. But when we ask them to go to work and come home and do all, it's like, oh, I went to work today.
Well, I only say that because I know after I work, I ain't clean.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get what you get. I will cook dinner. Like, you know, I'll do that, but I ain't. Y'all, the laundry gets done when it gets done.
Yeah. I still got a bag of laundry.
I just continue to buy clothes so that I don't have to do laundry but like once every 2 weeks.
So trifling.
That's toxic.
That is trifling. So within friendships, because we're all friends, so outside of the podcast, so how do your love languages with your friends? How does that look for y'all?
Quality time is definitely number one.
Absolutely.
Is that like a general thing for friendship?
No,
I don't feel like it.
Yeah, I don't think
No.
so. I think it really does depend on the person.
Yeah, quality time and then probably acts of service for me is second.
Yeah.
I don't know what's second for me.
Acts of service, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not a words of affirmation kind of girl. Like, I don't want you to tell me. I want you to show me.
Yeah.
Like, no, for real. Like, that's how I look at words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
I love you. Like, don't tell me you love me. Show me that you love me.
Like in friendships, I feel like words of affirmation really don't mean nothing. But in relationships, yeah, they do. For me.
I mean, maybe words of affirmation like number 3. Like, you know, I appreciate my friends saying, "Oh, you look good today." Like, you know, you look cute. Where you going? Like all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Gifts. I just am not big on gifts.
Well, when you put words of affirmation like that, like, sis, the hair, that, my goodness, like, when you say it like that, then yes. But when I think of words of affirmation, I think, like, congratulations, like, I'm so proud of you, like, those are cool. So, but yeah, it can get moved up to.
But
the
it's not
list.
like an expected thing. Like I don't expect it out of all my friends.
I expect my friends to hate me up once in a while.
I mean, once in a while, but it's not like a all the time like type of thing. Like every time I post something, you ain't gotta reply to my story every single day. Like
No, I agree with that.
I think y'all spoil me though because y'all be under my pictures.
But that's because you don't post often.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like, I post a lot, so I don't expect y'all to be under every picture, like, amazed. Like, seriously.
That's true.
Okay, so, like, so we have quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation,
gift giving and physical touch.
gift giving.
Yeah.
Like, that would, it would be in that order.
Yeah.
No. We put quality time first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Because for me, quality time is like one thing I love to do. I love when people run errands with me, which is literally, y'all, before we got here, I was like, I'm going to run errands after if anybody wants to come. Like, that's like top tier for me. If you just want to go and do like the little stuff, because those are when like the real moments are created, honestly.
When you have
like,
big conversation.
Yeah.
Like,
when you find out about people, like, if you see what people buy when they go in Target, like, that says a lot about them.
That's true.
Like, you really get to learn people like that.
True. Yeah, that's true. I do enjoy errands. I do enjoy girls' night.
Yeah, wine night.
I enjoy all those kinds of
game
things.
night.
Do y'all feel like your love languages for... Well, I know we all don't have a lot of men friends, but do you feel like it's different for your guy friends versus your girlfriends?
I don't really have a lot of guy friends. Like the only guy friend I can think of, I don't really know. Like I haven't really thought that deep into it, honestly. Like
it's not something that I think about. Honestly, even in my regular friendships, it's not something that I think about. When I think love language, it just has such a intimate connotation to it. You kind of just assume that you're talking about a real relationship, like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife.
Yeah. And that's why I think, like people, when people say, "Oh, I don't have a lot of friends," I think it's because you don't realize that like friendships take as much work as real relationships do. So it's like if you don't have a lot of friends and you constantly throughout your life are saying that, honestly, you should probably look at yourself and ask, like, do I put the work in for friendships? And if not, then that's something you probably want to work
But
for.
sometimes it can be like you may have like a lot of friends at one point, but then like those friendships just end up not working out. Like y'all go y'all separate ways, and then you kind of have to like restart and like rediscover like new friendships. So.
Yeah, making friendships like at our age is kind of weird. Like even when I got to Towson, I was just like, I didn't really expect to find any like long lasting friendships. They kind of just, I feel like they really just happen. It's something that you can't force. Like you can't be like, I don't think, I saw a tweet the other day and this girl like slid in this other girl's DMs and they actually end up being like shooting her friendship shot. But like I would never think
that's just
to
weird.
do that. Like that to me is makes me a little uneasy because like, how would I feel if somebody slid in my DMs like, oh my gosh, girl, let's hang out? And I just feel
like, I don't really know.
I feel like it depends on the context. Like if we are like you said with Kanae, like y'all are Instagram best friends. Like if we just often have dialogue on Instagram, we just finally like, you know what, let's go out for coffee or whatever. Then I feel like that's a little more natural. But if I don't really talk to you on social media, you just randomly show up in my DMs, like I feel like we could be friends. Like that's a little weird.
But what's the difference between that and a dude sliding in your DMs?
That's true.
And it's just me playing devil's advocate.
That's true.
Because I think when it comes from another woman, like we get defensive in a sense where it's like,
girl, I don't know you. Why you DMing?
Right, that's weird. Because that's what I would think.
That's what I'm saying. It has to be like contact.
But
like,
I also
we have to have had
Like,
Yeah.
no, I agree. Like, if we were out at brunch or a day party and we was vibing or something, and you DM me after that, then that would make sense. But if you really just came out the blue and like, I just watch your stories and I just think that it would be really fun to hang
Yeah,
out
that's
with.
weird. But I also think it's kind of like a little bit harder since we are in this pandemic. Because usually, like, if you think about it, like, most of your friends that you have now, you met through somebody else. So it's like being at like a function or like an event, or like you go to like your friend's birthday dinner and like
Yeah, you didn't just bump into them at Target.
It was like, oh, let's be
BFF.
friends. Like, most of the time you meet somebody through somebody in person. But like now, since we're in a pandemic, you not really out with your friends like that. So it's like everything is so virtual. So I think
That's true.
that's why,
interesting.
that's
So
why a
people
lot
are
of people
making
are like
friendships.
shooting at their friendship shots, because it's like,
That's crazy. This pandemic really has changed how we live our lives,
It
bro.
has, y'all. It's been a year. Like, it's
a legit
been a
year.
full year since COVID was discovered in the U.S.
Ooh, Chile.
So, how do you all feel that you nurture your friendships? Because it's something, like Nelly, like you said, a lot of people say they don't have a lot of friends. And I feel like part of that is because people realize that you actually have to put work into these friendships,
Yeah.
especially if you want real ones. So I feel like I've personally been trying to be more intentional about, because we're all busy and it's really easy to just be like,
Get
oh,
caught
I'm busy, you know. So it's hard to focus on all your friends. So how do y'all balance that with, especially, I know, Nelly, you have like a few different friend groups.
I feel like I am like a random mental health check person. Like, I'm always texting my group chats like, oh, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling? How y'all family? Like, what y'all, that kind of thing. So all of my friends know, like, I'm not a talk to you every day type of person. Like, I don't talk to anyone every day, I don't think. So it's really just a keeping in touch type of thing with all of my friends. I just make sure I'm not going too long without talking to you. I'm not going too long without knowing what's going on in your life, like that kind of thing. But it is work. Like, it's a couple of people that I wasn't consistent with, and now we're not friends. Or a couple of people that I didn't feel like I needed to be consistent with, so now we're not friends. So it's definitely work. But the different friend groups thing, I think it's easy for me because I can often bring all my friend groups together.
Yeah.
So that's a lifesaver. Like, I couldn't imagine having friend groups that I felt uncomfortable inviting everybody to an event. Like, that's weird to me.
Having to have 17 different things.
Yeah, because at that point, I feel like it comes back on you a little bit. It's like, what kind of life you really live? Like, you live in 3 different kind of lives. Like, like, what's going on? Like, you're not the same person in all these groups. But, yeah. So I think that's what makes it easy for me, just being able to, when I can and when I, have the opportunity, just bring them all together.
I feel like right now I'm in that stage of like jump starting like my friendships. Since, like, y'all know what kind of happened with my previous friend group. But I do have like one solid friend, my best friend. If you haven't checked out the episode So You Can Play That Game, she is on there. So we kind of like just keep in touch. Like, we'll randomly like text each other and be like, oh, what you doing like next weekend? Like, let's hang out. Like, this past week, I think we just had like, a girls' night. We had like some alcohol. We was just sitting and talking, all that good stuff. I do kind of like a random mental check with everybody that I'm friends with, or I like randomly like send them like reels or like tweets and stuff, and like we'll have like a conversation like based off of that. But yeah, I don't talk to everybody every day. Like, that's just not me.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, some people you don't need to talk to a lot. Like, it's just like Walia, my best friend, we've been best friends since kindergarten, and it's just like I probably see her once or twice a year. I mean, like, in person and actually doing stuff. But whenever we see each other, it's nothing changes. And I think I'm that kind of person when it comes to friendships. Like, if you can't stand that, like, our friendship won't work out, because I literally always have 1,001 things going on. So if you
if you can't get with the train, then it's just like
it's gonna keep going. You won't miss it.
Absolutely. So turning back to relationships, intimate relationships, what and this can get into communication styles a little bit. How do y'all approach the conversation of your significant other not catering to your love languages, learning their love languages? Like, how do you make sure you're being consistent and catering to that, all that?
So I feel like I can really answer this question because I've been in a relationship so long. So if you don't know, I'll be 6 years with my boyfriend this year. So we didn't figure out our love languages until like year 3. Like, until we got to a point where it was like something is not working, like isn't gift giving is like his last love language. Like, he is not big on gifts, he appreciates them, but they don't show him that I love him the best. Words of affirmation or acts of service are his top 2. So for years I was just buying stuff, like putting the most effort into what I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna buy. And I just felt like I was like, I feel like every time I get you something, like, you don't like it. Like, there's an issue there. And so I randomly was like, take this test, because I had taken it. And then we talked about it afterwards and, like, really discussed it. But it was more so, it just we were kind of forced into taking it in the sense that we needed to love each other better for our relationship to continue.
Yeah. I don't know, because I feel like my last relationship ended based off of we didn't know how to cater to each other based on our love languages. So I think after that I kind of had like that time to like self-reflect and really figure out like what truly was my love language and how I wanted to be loved, and kind of catering to myself in that aspect. And then working on like, just being able to really see how somebody else wants to be loved and kind of like, taking that into account. But yeah, I think it's just also like just about listening to your significant other, like just listening. Like when they tell you like, this is not how I want to be loved, like I would like for you to like give me a hug, or I would like for you to do things for me, like literally listen to them, because they're telling you how they want to be loved.
So I'm actually going to move backwards a little bit into like the getting to know and talking stage. I was chatting with another podcaster, my friend Jordan. Check out her podcast, Play by Play. We were talking about how love languages really come into effect way before you even get into a serious relationship in the whole talking stage, and how if y'all cannot effectively talk and communicate and cater to love languages during that phase, then you probably not getting past the talking stage. So it's just interesting because, we always think about it in intimate relationships, but in reality, it's an important thing to know before you even say, that's my girlfriend, that's my boyfriend.
Yeah. But, like, how do you even have that conversation? Like, because I feel like, for me, I'm just not going to, like, come out and be like, yeah, so by the way, my love language is acts of service. Like, I'm not just going to, like...
At our age, though, would that be part of, like, the question?
Yeah, I feel like at this point...
do you know your love language? Like, we're just talking, and you're just, like, on the phone with this person or whatever, and you're just like, do you know what your love languages are? Like, I feel like that, it would come up naturally like that, but I wouldn't be like... So, acts of service and physical touch are my love languages, and if you don't love me like this, you can go. Like,
yeah, no. I definitely think it's in our, like, 21 questions at this point. And even, like, it don't have to be just our age. Like, people younger than us can talk about this kind of stuff, too, because I think that's what breeds healthy relationships anyway.
But I think when you're younger, you don't really think of, like, your love language. I don't think when you're younger, you really know what your love language is until you actually grow and like experience different things.
Is that something we feel like younger people should be taught, or should we just let them go through their childhood little situations?
I feel like it should just be a gradual thing, because like you can't really be taught like how to like articulate your love language if you don't even know what your love language is for yourself.
I mean, but should that be introduced earlier?
I don't know, because like at 13 I wasn't wanting to be loved a specific way. Like
I just wanted to be loved.
I feel like you as you get older, you start to learn what you like and what you don't like, and I feel like that's kind of a part of the growing process. So like how I like to be loved when I was 13 is not how I like to be loved as a grown woman. Like at 13, my primary acts of service was probably gift giving. Like at that age, everybody loves getting gifts. That's part of the whole being young and spoiled or whatever you want to call it. So now I think it's more important that we understand how we like to be loved because we can set those boundaries. Like, you can't, like, think about being 13, 14, 15, whatever, and talking to your parents, and you're like, I don't like to be loved like that. Like, for me, I feel like how your parents love you is how they're going to love you. And, like, I kind of feel like that's, I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but to a certain extent, how you're, like you all said, how you're being raised or how you were raised has impacted your love languages. But I feel like if I sit down with my parents and be at that age and was like, so acts of service is my love language, and
I feel like that conversation can be presented.
But it's also like, I feel like it's a trickle effect, because if your parents didn't really have those conversations, then how do you expect them to have those conversations with you?
Well, but that's changed. Yeah, like you gotta break those kind of curses. Like, I was watching something on Instagram. There was this documentary where the girl and her mom sat down, and this girl couldn't, I mean, she was older than 13, 14, 15, but she couldn't have been older than 18, 19, and she was having a conversation about the things that she felt like her mother could have changed when while she raised her. And it was like they were picking up note cards and reading questions, but it was a very healthy conversation.
But at 18, 19, that's different.
That's different.
But I also would say, like, one, everybody doesn't have those parents who can sit down and have that conversation and be adults about it, which sucks. But that's the reality of it. You're going to have those parents who are going to get very aggressive, and it's going to end up being a deteriorating conversation where it's like, we don't even have a relationship. So it's kind of like, are you willing to push that envelope? Because there's consequences for everything you do.
Yeah, but I definitely think that could change the game, and that's a lot of reasons. Like, people should go to therapy, parents should go to therapy before they have these daggone kids, and if they don't do it before they had the kids, they need to go during, and like take your kids with you on session,
you
like
go to therapy
all that kind of
your
stuff.
stage.
Because people be, I mean, to put it blank, people be ruining their kids, like whether they like to hear it or not. No, I'm not no expert, but I've seen people ruin their kids, like, and it's all parenting style a lot of the times. So whether parents like it or not, these are conversations that could help them in the long run. So while they can get hoop and hollering in the moment, if they really sit down and think about it, it make their lives easier too, because the child won't rebel so much.
Yeah, and even like outside of like love languages, it's all about communication styles too. Like, you gotta know how to communicate with your child and discipline your child and talk to your child in order for them to receive certain things.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's especially hard.
The whole childhood conversation is just like a series in itself, for real. Like, childhood trauma, for lack of a better word, because it's not all trauma. I feel like it's starting to, everything we have lived through, people are trying to categorize it as trauma, and it's not necessarily that. It's another word, but
and this goes into a whole other thing, but I think trauma also has a negative connotation, because it's not always detrimental. Like, trauma is a word that we just has so much impact that people think it's like
such a strong word.
Yeah, but trauma can be used very lightly as well. Like, it's not something like you always got to work 10 therapy sessions through. Like, it might just take a conversation to work through that. So that's a whole nother thing. But it is interesting to see how the whole love languages plays into childhood, friendships, relationships, all that. So,
but I also think we have to do like check-ins within relationships too, because sometimes things change. Like, your love language can absolutely change, especially as we're getting older and finding ourselves. Some things you might realize, oh, I can just love myself this way, so I don't really need you to love me like that, or like, it's, you know, that might drop down on the list. So I don't necessarily need you to tell me these things, because I tell myself them. Like, I'm proud of myself, like, I have conversations with myself, so you doing that is just, I mean, it's cool. Like, you should still tell me that you love me, but it's not like, if you don't do it, I'm going to. Like, if you give me flowers, that says to me that you love me. If you fold the clothes before I get a chance to do it, that shows me that you love me. Like, there's actions that kind of fill those voids for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like for me, it's kind of like both. Like, I want you to show me, but I also want you to tell me. Because, like, words for me just feel good. Like, when somebody says, like, oh, I appreciate you, like, I'm proud of you, they still feel good. Cause like I also like have like real bad anxiety, so like sometimes I just be overthinking and I just be thinking like, oh my god, he don't love me no more.
Child, let's talk. We don't even got time for all that. 'Cause that could have been a whole like another conversation.
Exactly, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's both neck and neck for me.
Can I make a new category? You know what I really like? In-depth conversation. Does that fall under something?
I feel like it would be
feel like,
quality
yeah.
time. That's why when Bonnie was like, like y'all could be in the same room, because I kind of disagree to an extent, because when we were living in college together in Towson, we would see each other all the time, and like I would be like, I feel like we haven't spent any time together.
That's
Like,
true.
So
That's very
quality
true.
time for me is like, it's me and you, we're doing something. That's us watching a movie together, not us like both on our laptops doing work. That to me is not quality time, like in the
I
sense
think that's
that I
the,
wanted.
like the quality part.
Yeah,
of
the
it.
quality part. Like I want to
Yeah.
connect. Like literally the other night, we had started this great conversation, and then I was like, you know what? I don't even want to watch nothing tonight. Let's just talk.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
like
a lot of men
that.
don't like to talk though.
Listen, well then he needs to learn your love language.
Right.
That's
A lot of men don't
episode.
like to talk. That's also the other problem, but that's another conversation another day.
It is, but we gotta really make our own rules to that. Like that's exactly what people need to do. Like yes, I enjoy quality time, but what does quality time look like for me?
Yeah.
Because I love a good conversation.
All right. Well, y'all, it's about that time.
Yes.
That black love comes to an end.
We hope y'all enjoyed this series.
Yes,
I think
we
I
did.
personally really enjoyed this series.
It's something we can talk about again and again and again, because there's so many ways to dissect relationships. Maybe we just do like a friendship one.
We should. You know, that's crazy because I was thinking about that.
Because that's when you fall out with your friends, grieving friendships and all that's, it's life, man.
Let us know what y'all want to see.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, season 3, episode 7 is a wrap. Thank you for listening. Keep streaming.
Bye.